And now the chapter 10 starts with the scene where our reader is taken tea with Arkadian Papirich, who is presented as a person who occupies the position of director general of the static police archives. And this scene is presented very in a surreal tone, and it is intriguing, and we are again shifted to another atmosphere, and I find this beginning very reflective and interesting.
Okay, and also here we see the dialogue between Arkady and Porfirich and our main reader. And the dialogue consists of the fact that before that, from the previous chapter, we know that our reader was kept in the prison. But in order for him to escape, he was given a choice to work for the government and to be a person who takes care of falsificated books, as I understood.
Yes, it's so. So then they have a conversation. It's natural that the police forces different and even opposing regimes, and they have distinguished different types of countries, like countries where all books are systematically confiscated or published or approved, or existing censorship is crude. So there are a lot of different countries that are presented. So we see that this dialogue reveals conspiracies and knowledges about books that are being pursued by our reader.
Yes. And then, so he is basically given an assignment, and he accepts this assignment because he doesn't want to stay in prison. And overall, the point of this chapter is the dialogue, and most importantly, Arkadian has this secret place where all the books are kept. And all in, it comes to the fact that he doesn't have any of the books that our reader is looking for. So again, I think it's another chapter which results in zero result. Maybe it's because we are focused on the result, that's why we didn't get anything. Maybe someone who would just be focused on the journey of his, he'll be more excited about it. But because he didn't get anything in the end, I was very disappointed, because Arkadian seemed as the most powerful person in the whole chain until this part.
Maybe so. Also in the dialogues, I saw this thing like tension between being participant in the story and being like observer, as you mentioned. So this chapter ends, and we see that what story down there awaits its end begins, and Anatolian takes out more pages from his pocket and gives it to our reader, and he's about to produce another packet of stories.
Yes, and before that, do you remember there was a scene when he was in a train, and there were a lot of people on the train reading different books, and it was not different books. He thought that maybe some of them reading the book that I'm interested in, but maybe he's reading it in another language, so I don't know. So he's just looking at the covers, but in order to not seem strange, he just stands up so people will not notice him staring at their books, and he sees Lyudmila, or a woman very alike to her, and he starts screaming, "Lyudmila, I found the book," but instead of screaming, he wants to show it to her, and he tried to show it, but somehow they don't meet, like she didn't see him.
Yes, you're right. That was the part, but two trains departed and moved off to opposite directions, so they didn't meet up. Yes.
Actually, when there was a train mentioned, I thought that probably it's a correlation to the first chapter. Yes, but I was so disappointed that it wasn't. I think if it would, the book would be more meaningful.
Maybe.
So we could like link the last chapter to the first chapters, but now it turns out that first chapters are just forgotten.
Yeah. Maybe. So, and now Anatolian gives his new novel manuscript to our reader, and he says, "Act natural. The gardens are always under close observation." So he gives a few pages among. More few pages of his manuscript, and here how our story starts. The reader is walking around the prospects and is telling us that he is erasing the elements he is thinking like not really suitable there, and this was the very first line, and I felt like it was a magic.
Yes, it just proves that it's a fiction.
Yes.
I really thought that it's not normal, but I think for our book it's okay because
Maybe.
yes, because it's fictional. Yes, he's just walking across the town and he's erasing objects. Yes.
He decided to erase ministry building, facades, columns. He reduced slab of opaque glass, and he was like trying to make simple and erasing 5 more ministries, banks, and all companies and etc.
Yes, and he says, but I did this because I believe their existence is damaging or superfluous to the harmony of the whole. I think he just thought that these objects are not necessary in order to live life. Maybe.
Yes. So then also he he was on an operation, as I understood, and he was really careful with outsiders, people who were not unpleasant for him, like just trying to not damage him. It is a simplified world where he had a greater probabilities meeting few. He was trying to make a simpler world where he has ability to meet people he like Francisca,
Right.
as he mentioned.
Yes, he just didn't want to see unwanted things and objects, and Francisca was his friend, and I didn't kind of understand what kind of friend is her. I think it's somewhere in a romantic relationship probably. And do you notice that every 2 chapters we're given a new female character?
Yes.
And but here she has a voice. Yes. Yes, she does. Like at first, he's so excited to see her. He's just going to see her, and he erased everything. And from far, far away, he finally sees her.
Yes.
Right? He finally sees her, but when just some little distance is left, he is caught by guardians. So he literally was caught in his mission. Like, I thought that I felt frustration because it's like our character is again cannot reach his goal, but actually he could reach his goal.
Yes, you're right. And then when he saw these guardians, he decided to erase them. Interestingly, but he knew that these men are from Section D. Nevertheless, he was still going to get rid of them, and he concentrated and started to do his magic or whatever, and but nothing happened. They are still between them, staying and telling him like, well, here you are, still one of us, and these are also like people who have some abilities like his, and this was interesting. Like they nothing happened to them.
Yes, and the most interesting part of this story, I think, how excited he was to see Francisca, just like our reader was always excited to see Ludmila after he finds something. I saw the huge parallel between male characters and female characters in the whole book, because male characters seem like more engaged and more interested in like in talking, I guess.
Maybe
How do we say it?
the conversation.
In conversation, yes.
Communication.
The right communication, they are more engaged and more thrilled too. Female characters are always kind of waiting and they're there, but male characters are very active.
Yeah, you're right. And what I noticed that when they met, and she said, Francisca, I will one more leap and I will be with you. And she is answering like, oh, it's really you. Every time I walk on the prospect, I run into you. And don't tell me you spend all days out strolling. Listen, I know a cafe here at the corner, all lined with mirrors, and there is a orchestra that plays waltz. Will you invite me there? And that was exactly like twin. I felt like they are twins, and they have minds of twins, because this is exactly the thoughts that our character had before they met.
Right.
And when he was struggling to raise these men, he tried to create a new reality where he is sitting with Francisca in the cafe with mirrors.
Yes.
So, and she's saying the same exact thing.
Right. And I think it was very symbolical for us, because it's the last story of the whole book, and the story ended when two characters met. I think because whole journey of the reader was on trying to find that he couldn't find, everything was kind of getting away from him, but here he finally did found her, like they did really meet. I think it's very symbolical ending for the whole stories for the book.
Oh, that makes sense, actually, yes. And he was so much desiring to meet her, and he got what he wanted. Yes. So
This is the end of the chapter 10.